Don't cheat us of your contribution. Give us what you've got. Welcome back to the Discoveries of Writing Daily. To briefly recap, I am writing every day for 6 months and posting weekly videos of my progress. It's been 3 weeks since the start of this process, and to be totally honest with you, it's getting pretty hard. I didn't really expect this because going into this I thought, how hard could writing every day be? Turns out, a lot harder than I thought. I have several projects I'm working on right now, but the one I spent the most time with is a musical I'm writing. I'm still trying to flesh out the story, but a lot of things came together this week. At the beginning of my writing sessions, I had a lot of options of what I could work on. Music, structure, character development, or a mixture of all those things. It's a lot to think about, and it's pretty discouraging to try and pick just one thing to work on when you have so many options. Oftentimes, when I feel overwhelmed with possible things I could work on, I tend to distract myself, which usually means I check my phone. This feeling of not doing the thing you know you need to do is called resistance. This term comes from Steven Pressfield's book, The War of Art. It's a fantastic book and a must-read for anyone who is creative and having a hard time focusing. According to Pressfield, resistance comes in many forms. Television, food, other people, there's many things that can cause us to experience resistance. In today's world, it's almost impossible to be more than 5 feet away from our phones, which to me is like a never-ending tunnel of resistance. We're pretty good at looking for distractions. When I was in school and given an assignment, I knew immediately I was going to procrastinate. I knew this wasn't the greatest approach to work, but I did get everything I needed to done. Eventually. Resistance works hard to take your focus away from what you know you need to do. It doesn't always come in forms that are easy to see. Sometimes resistance is hanging out with friends or making other activities a higher priority than working. This makes resistance difficult to deal with at times. Fortunately, it's not impossible to beat. I found that once I knew what resistance was, it was easier to recognize and deal with. Here are some strategies I use to overcome resistance. When I'm deciding on an activity to do, I try and guess how I'll feel after I'm done. Most things that cause resistance give short-term pleasure, but after we're done, they feel us leaving less than spectacular. I'm not saying that watching TV or going to dinner are inherently bad, but they can get in the way of your creative endeavors. Recognize when you do something purely for distraction. Another way I deal with resistance is by using what I call a block schedule. I divide my day up into several blocks where I work for 50 minutes on a specific activity, followed by a 10-minute break. This is similar to the Pomodoro technique, but I've found that working for slightly longer periods of time is more productive for me. This may not be the best approach for everyone, but I have found that giving yourself a specific action for a specific amount of time makes it seem less intimidating. Giving yourself boundaries allows you to better focus your energy instead of just doing something for however long you feel like it. Don't feel like you have to do everything at once, and don't be afraid to take a break. One of the biggest things that helps me focus and work more efficiently is to think about staying in the room. This phrase comes from the book Ron Carlson Writes a Story and has helped me so much in terms of how I look at my work environment. The next time you sit down to create something, think about your immediate surroundings. How many things are there around that could distract you? The answer would probably surprise you. It could be a pile of clothes that need folding, or a half-eaten sandwich when you're hungry. Resistance is a powerful feeling that can take you away from what you truly want to do in many ways. When you feel you should wash the dishes or go clean the kitchen table instead of write, just stay in the room. Just to clarify, cleaning and organizing your living space is probably an overall positive thing, but when it is used as pure distraction, it can interrupt your workflow in a huge way. Staying in the room could be a physical or mental feeling. It could be sitting down and not getting up for a certain period of time. It could be telling yourself to focus on the idea at hand and not thinking about anything else. Something that helps me stay in the room, literally and figuratively, is putting my phone somewhere else than where I'm working. It's just too easy to get distracted by it. Another way I stay in the room is by using a journal. I write a lot in here, and I have found that handwriting your ideas really helps you internalize your work. Plus, when you're not typing on a computer or a phone, you won't be tempted to check social media or open another tab to distract yourself from what needs to get done. Now, I try to listen to my own advice, but sometimes resistance gets the best of me. I get distracted and my day is not as productive as it could have been. These are things I'm still working on. Nobody's perfect, but that's not something to be afraid of. Like I said in my first video, learn to love the process. Take some time at the end of the day to reflect. Think about what could have been better. How can you recognize resistance, and how can staying in the room help you to combat it? If you want to learn more about either of these concepts, I highly recommend you check out the books mentioned in this video, The War of Art by Steven Pressfield and Ron Carlson Writes a Story by Ron Carlson. I put an Amazon link for both in the description below. I hope this has helped you notice ways of how to make your workday more effective. By making little changes in the way that you work, you can make big improvements in your writing. Thanks for watching, and remember, just because nothing is due doesn't mean you should do nothing. See you in a week.